Welcome everyone to our first meeting for 2024. Call to order the meetings of the Camarillo and Oxnard Airport Authorities. And before we get into the Pledge of Allegiance, I would like to comment to Dr. Fussell. Thank you for your hard work these past 2 years. You're moving on, and we wish you blue skies and fair winds. And if you wouldn't mind, do us the honor of leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we get a roll call for the Camarillo Authority.
Good evening. For Camarillo Authority, Supervisor Kelly Long.
Here.
Vice Chair Supervisor Vianney Lopez.
Here.
Mayor Tony Tremblay. Welcome to the board today. Council members Susan Santangelo.
Here.
And Chair Scott Barrett.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum for Camarillo. For Oxnard Authority, Supervisor Kelly Long.
Here.
Vice Chair Supervisor Vianney Lopez.
Here.
Councilmember Bert Perello.
Here.
Councilmember Gabe Teran.
Here.
And Chair Eugene Fussell.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum for Oxnard.
Okay. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Chair, I have a question.
Mr. Perello.
With respect to the late notice that we got of an application for one of these positions came late and was not in the agenda, and an earlier agenda didn't have even the vote, is it possible to move that item to a future meeting? I think in fairness, that raises a big question. Again, Chair, this is another case of where I wish the county council had a representative here if they could answer that question.
Well, if I may, we did consult county council and reviewed the bylaws. And in terms of the Brown Act, our duty was to, since it didn't change the agenda, the text of the agenda, all it did was change the board letter itself. As long as we replaced the board letter by the time the meeting started and gave it to you guys and had it on our website, then we've met our Brown Act duties. And again, this is a unfortunate and inadvertent omission of this person's application, but their application is now in your possession, and the person is here and available to make their case for you. So I think procedurally, as far as what the county council would say, we're covered because we asked ahead of time, but.
And each person will, when we get to that point, each person will be able to do a presentation, a 2-minute
Absolutely.
intro so that everyone will have that. Okay.
Chair, if I could just share this. Recently, Mr. Tremblay and I have learned of an issue on another agenda from the county, the Fox Canyon Groundwater Management, where a closed session item was not even included on the original agenda. Then later on, it was fixed. I know that we have 2 boards of supervisors here. I hope they carry this back, that it can't be this sloppy how these types of things are handled. And there may be people that just look at the initial agenda and they don't go back to look to see if the agenda has been changed, modified, or revised. Those are my views. That's why I asked those questions. Thank you.
Mr. Nafee, my understanding is we are going to switch the agenda around a little bit. Could you explain what we're going to do?
Yeah, chairs, with your concurrence, we propose that we change items A and B, 6A and 6B of our new business, so that we consider the selection of the chair and the vice chair prior to selecting the public member, which is done by the remaining 4 of the authority members, and then the same for Oxnard. So that would be to hear 6D before 6C. But we've arranged the slides to kind of guide us through that. But if you're willing to go along with that, And then, as we've already just talked about, I wanted to mention that we had made a change to the packet letter, the board letter that was emailed to you and is now available on the website, which corrects the oversight of having Keith Moore added to the candidate pool for both boards. And with that, I have no other changes.
Querying the board members, are there any objections to adjusting the agenda? Okay, then that's what we're gonna do. Approval of minutes. Do we have a motion for Camarillo to approve the minutes for the last meeting? A second. We'll get a roll call.
Supervisor Kelly Long,
Yeah.
Vice Chair Supervisor Vianney Lopez,
Yes.
Mayor Tony Tremblay, Councilmember Susan Santangelo, Chair Scott Bear.
Yes.
The motion passes with one abstention.
Can we get approval of minutes from Oxnard?
I'll move to approve the minutes as presented.
Been moved in second. Can we get a roll call?
For Oxnard Authority, Supervisor Kelly Long,
Yes.
Vice Chair Supervisor Vianney Lopez,
Yes.
Councilmember Burt Perello,
Yes.
Councilmember Gabe Turan,
Yes.
and Chair Eugene Fussell.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Now that we've got our minutes approved, next is public comment on issues not on the agenda. Do we have any speaker cards?
Chair, we do have one speaker card.
And there's a gentleman here raising his hand to speak. If you could give that to the folks in the back. And who's the first speaker card?
John Greenwood.
This is for non-agenda items.
Correct.
Agenda items would be, for example, I have a feeling you're here to talk about the public member appointment. We'll have public comment on that later in the meeting. This is because it's on the agenda. This is for airport related stuff that's not on the agenda. Okay, so sir, we have one other speaker.
No, we do not for a public comment.
Okay,
But we do want to just read out for the public comment management, two members of the public who wish to address the authorities tonight with live public comments on any agenda item. Please visit www.vcairports.org/meeting-calendar for participation instructions, streaming links, meeting IDs, and passcodes. For in-person public comment, please fill out a speaker card and submit it to the secretary before the end of the public comment period for items listed on the agenda. Speakers will be called to speak after the agenda item is presented. For our remote participants via Zoom or telephone, please accept the prompt to be promoted as speaker and unmute your mic when it is your turn to speak. In-person and remote participants will have 3 minutes to make their comment. Thank you.
so this is where we're going to shuffle the agenda a little bit. And we're going to start with no. This is where we're going to shuffle the agenda a little bit. We're going to start with item 6B, which will be the selection of a chair and vice chair for the Camarillo Authority for 2024. Do we have any motions? Do we have any volunteers?
Chair, I nominate Supervisor Kelly Long for Chair of the Camarillo Airport Authority.
And I'll second. And I'll second that. Any other nominations? Can we get a roll call for Camarillo, please? First, let's do them one at a time. First for the chair, and then we'll do one for the vice chair.
Yes. For for Supervisor Kelly Long as chair for the Camarillo Authority, Supervisor Kelly Long, Supervisor Vianney Lopez,
Yes.
Mayor Tony Tremblay, Councilmember Susan Santangelo, and Scott Bear.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously with Kelly Long as chair for the Camarillo Airport Authority. For vice chair, Mayor Tony Tremblay, Supervisor Kelly Long. Chair Supervisor for Kelly Long. Supervisor Vianney Lopez,
Yes.
Mayor Tony Tremblay, Councilmember Susan Santangelo, and Scott Bear.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously for Mayor Tony Tremblay as Vice Chair for Camarillo Airport Authority.
And I pass the virtual gavel to Supervisor Long. It's your meeting.
Thank you very much. Chair there. And the last time I did-
There you go.
In a formal way, I just want to say thank you so much for your time and effort on the authority and leading us through this last year.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for that.
Next up, we have event finance. Several, we have put in their application, and so I'd like to. Have a 2-minute one to give us. Who they are and why we like to serve.
Chair Long, apologies. Are we going to separate by airport authority the entire agenda? Sorry, with the selection of the chair for Oxnard?
Yeah, do we want to do that? Yeah, could we just get the 2 chairs and then, okay.
That's not great. So.
Okay, can we get a motion for selection of a chair for the Oxnard Airport Authority? I'd like to nominate Vianney Lopez.
I would like to second that.
It's been motion and second. Supervisor Lopez, can I have a roll call?
For Supervisor Lopez as Chair for the Oxnard Airport Authority, Supervisor Kelly Long,
Yes.
Supervisor Vianney Lopez,
Yes.
Councilmember Burt Perello,
Yes.
Councilmember Gabe Teron,
Yes.
and Eugene Futzel.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously for Supervisor Vianney Lopez as Chair for the Oxnard Airport Authority.
Okay, can we have a motion for vice chair for Oxnard Airport Authority?
I'd like to motion, Councilmember Gabe Teron for vice chair.
Second.
It's been motion and second for Councilmember Ron. Can we have a roll call?
For Vice Chair, Oxnard Airport Authority, Supervisor Kelly Long,
Yes.
Supervisor Vianney Lopez,
Yes.
Councilmember Burt Perello,
Yes.
Councilmember Gabe Teron,
Well, they ambushed me on that one, didn't they? Yes, and thank you.
and Chair Eugene Fussell.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously for Councilmember Gabe Teron as Vice Chair for Oxnard Airport Authority.
And Dr. Fussell, I just want to say thank you for all your years of service. You've been a tremendous asset for the authority, and I've really respected your comments and your leadership. So thank you very much.
Chair, may I like to comment? I've had the opportunity to know Dr. Fussell since my first attendance and being placed on this by the City Council of Oxnard. He was the backup for Walter Calhoun, who was a member of the public, and he always came to the meetings. I mean, the man put in his time. Not always the loudest voice in the group, but he had weight with what he said. The first thing that impressed me was, and there's a member in the audience, Mr. Thomas. I don't fly. I'm not a pilot. I know when I get in an airplane, I expect to get out of an airplane in one piece. That's about it. But I know that it's important to have people that are pilots that are involved in this thing. And many times, Mr. Fussell, Dr. Fussell, brought up issues that I had no clue over. And the other members on this board that were not pilots had no clue what he was talking about. Closing distance, turns, that kind of stuff. He's been a tremendous asset to this board and the community and his medical professionals.
And I will echo the comments of Councilmember Perello. Since I became a member of the Airport Authority as a council member myself, I got to see virtually, Dr. Fussell, your participation. Really appreciate your service to the Airport Authority, but to our greater community, and look forward to continuing to work with you in our endeavors as we continue our presence and service in the community. So thank you for your time and your contribution.
If I may,
Thank you. And I just want to echo my colleagues here and thank you, Dr. Fussell. I know that I'm just rounding out a year, literally a year. Tomorrow it'll be a year on the Airport Authority. And I very much appreciate your dedication and commitment to this and the knowledge and experience you brought to the authority and in representing the community. So thank you for all you've done and look forward, as Supervisor Chair Lopez had mentioned, continued efforts with you. Thank you.
If I may, it's been my pleasure and my passion to be on the authority. I was on the as an alternate for many years, and I'm glad to see now that we are changing and adhering to the bylaws where we change membership so we can get new blood and new ideas. And I think that I've looked over the applicants, and I can say that the majority of applicants are excellent, and I'm certain that with the wisdom of the authority, we will select some very excellent people to carry on. With that, yes, again, it's been my pleasure. I'm going to vacate the seat. However, I'll come back because this will be my last meeting, and then I'll have a new person to replace the seat. Thank you.
Any other comments? Supervisor Lopez, Chair. Since we both are going to be doing the interviews for the alternate and the public member, how long do you want to give them for comments or information?
I think the 2 minutes was what was suggested initially for the presentation. So I think we will do the same for both.
Okay,
Yeah.
sounds good. And then allow any questions that you might have.
Yes.
All right, perfect. I just figured we might as well check.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful.
And authorities, if we could just send a gentle reminder to all of you to just remember to speak closely into the microphone. We have some comments from public that we're having some difficulty hearing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so then we will start off with the interview process for the public member and the alternate.
We'll start with Camarillo. Michael Alfred.
What are the specific requirements for a member? Do they need to live in the supervisorial district? Do they need to live in the community that they would represent that airport? What are the requirements? I wish county council was here to address that, but can somebody tell us
We have.
before we get deeply into this?
Could you answer, please?
Oh, yes, we do. There is no residency requirement mentioned in the bylaws at all. So it's at the discretion of the 4 members, 2 supervisors and 2 city council from each city respectively to their boards. There's no residency requirement mentioned in the bylaws at all.
Is there a residency requirement for Ventura County?
Again, it's not mentioned in the bylaws. I would think it's to the discretion of the elected officials to make that determination.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions before we begin? Okay, with that, if we could have our first person.
Thank you. Michael Alfred.
And for members headed to the podium, there's a microphone, a battery operated microphone. It's got a button on it. Make sure it's green before you start speaking. And I'm going to put a 3-minute timer up there, but I think on the honor system, we're going to try to hold it to 2.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. I'm Mike Alfred. I'm a pilot. Been flying for 30 years. I got several thousand hours, instrument rated. I live in Ventura County. I live in Camarillo. I'm right underneath the landing pattern for the runway here. I wanted to be there when we moved from Northern California down to Southern California. I wanted to be as close to the airport as we could. So I'm right there between Old Town and the outlet centers there, right off of Carmen Drive. So I saw at the end of last year that you guys may need some help I'm the AOPA representative for Oxnard. And, to me, it doesn't make any difference which airport I do it and, or whether I'm the first or the second alternate or whatever, but throwing my hat in the ring to help out and, open to questions.
Are there any questions for Mike? Go
Do
ahead.
do you have a preconceived idea of whether the Oxnard Airport should be shut down or not?
My airplane is at Oxnard Airport. I have a hangar there. I want that airport open.
Thank you for your response. Thank you.
Yeah, I own my own plane. I got a Piper Arrow retractable, Arrow 4. I've had it for 25 years and I fly all over the place, thousands of hours. So, if you're looking for a pilot, I can handle that. I have an MBA, so I know a little bit about some of the other stuff too. So
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I'm a retired engineer from General Motors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Alfred, I have a question.
Right behind you.
People asking me questions behind me. Go ahead, say it one more time.
Okay, thank you. I just have a quick question regarding any of your experience in any type of governance or sitting on other types of boards or type of work where you would have to work collaboratively and hear out members of the public or stakeholders and make decisions based on that input you get.
I have no public government experience at all, but I worked with General Motors for many years and everything is a committee or a team approach to things. And so I've got a lot of experience with that.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
One more,
Oh,
one
one
more.
more.
Thank you. So you mentioned you're retired. Are there any other commitments on your end that could be a conflict with timing and participation and attendance to our authority meetings?
I'm retired 100%. I got a boat down in the marina. I want to sail that out to the islands and I've got my airplane and I want to fly that around. Those are my two big things I want to do. And other than that, I don't have any other commitments.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, I think
All right,
that was it.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next candidate is Scott Bear, and he is interested in the public member position for Camarillo Airport Authority.
Supervisor Long, Supervisor Lopez, Mayor Tremblay, Councilmember Santangelo, thank you for your consideration this evening. Over the last 2 years as the public member on the Camarillo Airport Authority, I've worked closely with the airport stakeholders to enhance the contribution our airport makes to the local community. This has been done, however, with the imperative of ensuring that the quality of life is maintained for Camarillo's residents. Polling from a few years ago revealed that an overwhelming majority, something like 96%, of Camarillo residents really like living in Camarillo and value our quality of life. And in my view, the airport should not change that. We've started several initiatives to reduce noise in communities nearby the airport. And it is critical that the efforts to ensure the quality of life of our local residents move forward apace. I think it is essential that the airport authority continue to listen to and hear community members and continue efforts to mitigate the ongoing noise issues. During my tenure on the airport authority, I've worked very hard to forge relationships with the Department of Airports, especially Director Freitas. We speak often, we meet regularly, and it is my belief that my input has been useful to him as he and his team have navigated many of the issues the department has faced over the last 2 years. Growth at our airport is inevitable, but we have to be mindful that the quality of life of the local community is not adversely impacted. And that includes continuing to look at ways to minimize noise, pollution, and climate change. As a local homeowner, pilot, hangar owner, and a lawyer, I believe my skills, education, and sensibilities have been beneficial to the Camarillo Airport Authority to the benefit of our airport and the local community. Lastly, I think I've brought a fresh perspective to the Airport Authority over the last 2 years, hopefully with some new ideas and solutions to the challenges facing our airport and the neighboring communities. Thank you for your time, and I'd be happy to answer questions.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open it up to any questions. Go ahead.
I wish I'd have said this before we started. I want to thank everybody that's thrown their hat into the ring to come up and ask for the position to be applied for. And to be fair, I'm going to ask the same question of every candidate. My question, do you have any preconceived ideas about the opening or closing of Camarillo or Oxnard Airport?
We're bound by grant assurances, and we've taken public money, federal money for both of those airports, which requires that we keep the airport open for at least 20 years beyond the last grant that we've accepted. But beyond that, setting that issue aside, my preference would be to keep both airports open, make them contributing community members, deal with the noise issues. And you know, they're economic engines. The Camarillo Airport's an economic engine. The system itself with Camarillo and Oxnard is profitable. So I think there are a lot of reasons to keep it open if we can mitigate the noise issues. And I think that Director Freitas and his team, and with the contribution of Barb Filkins, who's seeking the position for Oxnard, has done a great job with Oxnard. And now we're getting deeper and deeper into the issues for Camarillo, and we're working on those.
Thank you very much.
Questions?
Thank you.
Next up, we have Daniel Gober. He is interested in the public member position for Camarillo Airport Authority.
First of all, I want to say thank you for your consideration for this position. I'm Dan Gober. I'm the 25-year resident of Ventura County, and just about 2 years ago moved to Old Town Camarillo. And part of the reason to move to Old Town Camarillo, my wife and myself, was really the charm of the neighborhood, being part of really the airport community where we see these planes come through our neighborhood. We enjoy the traffic, we enjoy the charm that it brings and so forth. Really thinking about now being deep kind of in the Camarillo and Old Town community, I feel I could bring some skills, some attributes, some thought process really from the community as to what would be best to serve the community and to move forward. I'm also a 30-year industry vet in the life science business. I currently am the executive director for Biocom California. We're the largest advocacy and policy organization in California. We serve about 1,800 member life science companies. So I've experience also in working through policy, understanding how to bring people together for a common cause. I'm very pro-business. A big attribute of what we do is we try to bolster and build life science communities and do it in a very ethical and straightforward way. So I really believe I can bring some skills, some attributes, a fresh perspective from the outside, from the community, and also from the business climate that I come out of to serve the community and also make sure that we bolster the airports, keep them open, keep them viable, keep them really a place that the community can continue to be proud of. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And are there any questions?
Do you have any preconceived ideas, and thank you for applying for the position, preconceived ideas about the opening or closing of Camarillo or Oxnard Airport?
I'm very pro-business. I really believe that keeping airports, keeping the train station, keeping these things that bring charm, bring viability, bring business into our community, it would be important to keep them open. But I also really believe that, you know, making sure that we're hearing from our community, we're in touch with our community, we're doing this in a very balanced approach. That's really what I believe should be the path forward.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Gober, for your application and for the information right now. A similar question as I asked to Mr. Alfred. You shared that you had some policy experience, and wondering if you also have any kind of experience through governance, through sitting on boards or chairing committees or anything where you have to work with stakeholders or the public to receive input and make decisions from that.
So part of my role at Biocom is that there's a number of committees and boards that we contribute and we're part of the LAEDC. I contribute and work with them directly. Different boards that look at bolstering and supporting the startup life science community, companies coming out, incubator programs. We look at what's viable for them, specific needs for medical device. I've also sat on the board at my church as part of really the governing body at our church as well. So mostly really either from my job or from some public or some private interests that I've been in.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? Do you have
Sure.
any flying experience or just?
I am a 1,000,000-mile member of United Airlines, if that means anything. So I really believe any flight that lands properly and allows me to go home and enjoy my life is a good flight. But I'm not a pilot and I've never flown aircraft or anything like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I liked your answer on that one. We all got a good one. Thank you very much. There's no other question. Okay, the next person.
Thank you. Ronald Reichert is interested in the public member and alternate public member position for Camarillo Airport Authority.
Okay, my name is Ron Rieger. I've been in Camarillo for 30 years or thereabout. I am commercial license instrument rated, but I only have about 1,000 hours or so. My wife defines a small aircraft as a 737, so we haven't done too much flying. My background is basically I'm a applied mathematician, computer scientist, working in the areas of operations research, artificial intelligence, sensor-based intelligence systems, etc. I teach out at the university, I'm a lecturer out there, and I also have a small consulting company. I spent the last, 40, 50 years or so. Most of my students, I was there long before they were born. But in any case, I spent my time doing building state-of-the-art systems and or critiquing state-of-the-art systems for companies like United, Boeing, Qantas, plus a lot of other companies that were not part of the airline world. So I've gotten some trouble in some sense. United was asked to take a look as an example of the Denver baggage system, and I recommended, put in some recommendations for it, and United was sued. But I told United to stick with it. United countersued and they won $110 million grant, or they won 100 of it. And we can go on. There's a few other cases like that with Boeing and more of the United maintenance type stuff. My interest here is that I live up on the hill. I think Camarillo, the long run, the Camarillo Airport, or one of the two, have to do more than what they're doing. They have to go in a different direction or more interesting things. For instance, Camarillo has, we're solving one of the problems with noise. How am I doing? We're solving one of the problems.
We're holding to 2 minutes if you don't mind, sir.
Beg pardon?
We're holding to 2 minutes if you don't mind, so.
Okay. So we have, I think we also want to go after things like safety. We have an aircraft issue here. 70% of problems occur within the area of the airport.
Thank you very much. You're past your time.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
Yes, same questions. Thank you very much. Sounds like you're extremely experienced. And my same question. Do you have any preconceived ideas with respect to the closure of Camarillo or Oxnard Airport?
No, I put a caveat on that in the sense that, for instance, Camarillo, I would suggest that we move into more interesting areas such as vertical takeoff and landing, electric, perhaps some other areas that would differentiate the two airports. But that's a future thing, because I think in the long run, the community will come back and want to shut the airport down. And so I think we have to do something else. So no, I don't have any preconceived ideas. On the other hand, I think we do need to do something for the long run. Short run, we're doing some things. Noise, we're not. I'm a little concerned. There's an opportunity. Hawthorne Airport is an example. They have a south pattern for all aircraft, which would put it out over the field. That would cut down on noise. It would increase the safety of the community and also reduce the pollution. But it doesn't look like that's where we're going to go with that particular plan. So I probably overstated what you wanted to know.
No, but I think it's significant that you add that to the conversation. Thank you very much, and I appreciate it. And just for the candidates that have asked and the ones I'm going to, there's a tremendous amount of pressure in some of the cities to close airports. So that's why I'm asking this question. Thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And similar question from me regarding any experience in governance and working with stakeholders, taking input and making decisions based on that.
With government in general, I was involved in not on boards per se. I have, senior management type of positions, but not on boards per se, and have had to work with a lot of more as a consultant for United and some of these other companies, where I've had to deal with a lot of people. When you're sitting on one side of the table and there's 20 of them on the other side, there's some real things there, but not specifically on the board.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next applicant is William Thomas, and he is interested in the public member and alternate public member for Camarillo Airport Authority.
Hey, good evening. Bill Thomas, previous member of this particular board. To answer a couple of quick questions, I totally believe in keeping airports open, and I see that the public member for both of the airports' primary responsibility is to be the representative of the people who live and work on the airport. The cities and the counties both have extremely capable people on the airport authority to represent their city and their county. And I think that the public member is really got to focus on the pilots, the workers, the airport administration, and the ASPs or FBOs that are on the airport, because right now they're not particularly well represented. Personally, I have 20 years flying in the Navy, retired at Point Magoo. Been flying at Camarillo for 30 years. I've sit on 2 501c3 boards, non-conflicting with this particular board. I am involved heavily with the air show and have always been very honest with the airport authority and the Department of Airports to make sure that I stay clear of things that are in conflict. I handle all the noise complaints for the Camarillo City Council, that I give them my phone number so that they don't have to have a middle person in between. I think that the 2 airports are a great enterprise system. I see my 2 minutes is up, so I'll finish. Thanks. Any questions?
Mr. Thomas, I appreciate you answering the question there with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks.
And our last applicant for the Camarillo Airport Authority is Keith Moore, and he is interested in the public member position and the alternate public member position.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to visit today and as an applicant for a public member role, either at Camarillo or Oxnard Airport. I'm a pilot and a flight instructor. I'm intimately familiar with the active participant in the general aviation initiatives here in Camarillo and Oxnard airports, their development, and the many shareholder objectives that comprise our aviation community. I'm aware of the airport and local community relationships. I've proposed successful initiatives to mitigate noise complaint at Oxnard Airport, specifically to do a right traffic. That seemed to be adopted, took a while for that to happen. My background is a pilot with commercial instrument, glider, single engine land, some 200 hours in sailplanes. And my focus is both youth and aviation. I like to work with the youth in several programs. I'm on the KCMA Noise Committee. I'm an AOPA, KCMA representative. For 5 years, I helped develop and run the Wings Over Camarillo Air Show with Bill Thomas as a treasurer. We generated about $250,000 for use in aviation. I'm a Camarillo Chapter EA 723 treasurer and a director for a couple of years. I'm now at the Civil Air Patrol working with youth there, helping putting together some programs. They have some 30 cadets. We're working on putting a simulator program for them to learn to fly. My most focus is on simulator training. I've done a lot of that for many years. I'm an electrical engineer. I was elected director of the Camarillo Channel Islands Community Service District, 12 years. I was the director of the Ventura County Air Pollution Advisory Committee for 6 years. Channel Islands Commodore for the Channel Islands Yacht Club. I'm very interested in maintaining and developing the assets here in Ventura County, specifically the aviation and the harbor. I also work for the harbor, Channel Islands Harbor, business development. I understand there's initiatives at Oxnard, perhaps to put in a restaurant and a museum. And so if I have any questions for you, let me.
Thank you. Questions?
I believe you've answered, but do you have any preconceived ideas of shutting down Camarillo or Oxnard Airport?
I don't think that's a very good idea.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. And I know you mentioned sitting as a treasurer on, I think you said the EAA Chapter 723 on your application, and you mentioned some of that experience now. Can you elaborate a little bit more on, similar to the other questions I had, just any boards or committees you've sat on for governance and taking input from stakeholders of the public and then making a decision based on that?
I believe that Ventura County has a lot of assets that are not being maintained adequately. And I'm focused on those, particularly on the harbor area. I think that we can develop, for example, Camarillo may have an opportunity to look at access that taxiway and make a separate runway, a separate second runway in which we can put the general aviation traffic on one side of the airport so that the heavier aircraft can use the main runway. I believe that we can develop Oxnard Airport. I would like to see it work to come up with some kind of commercial service, perhaps a route trip to Vegas, which would give us an ability to service our folks that wish to travel more distance. You go to Vegas, you can go anywhere. So we could have a traffic, we could fill that aircraft every day.
Okay.
So those are ideas that I have. I have some others as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Moore, just to elaborate a little bit more on my question, do you have experience you'd like to share regarding your sitting on boards or sitting on committees for decision-making and governance?
Well, I've done that for 12 years as the elected director at Camarillo Channel Islands Community Service District, which services the community of the Channel Islands Harbor with water, sewer, and trash. I did that. I'm very familiar with the power and the water services here in Ventura.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask you a question? I see that your city of residence is in Oxnard. And so I'm wondering why you would pick Camarillo versus the Oxnard.
Well, I'm very active in Camarillo with the EAA chapter and we have the Civil Air Patrol groups. So we meet regularly with those young people.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No other questions.
We do have a public comment for this agenda item.
Yes, please.
Lauren Delatorre, if you want to make your way to the podium.
Thank you for having me here. I'm Lauren De La Torre, and I'm a resident of Old Town Camarillo for the past 35 years. I'm speaking to you tonight to request and encourage that the Camarillo Airport Authority vote to keep Scott Baer as our citizens representative for another term. He has done an excellent job representing the public these past 2 years. We appreciate that he has connected with residents in Old Town and the rest of Camarillo. Thank you for voting for Scott to continue to serve as the public citizen member of the CAA. Thank you.
Thank you for speaking. Is there any other public comments?
We have no other public comment. Oh. We do have one more public comment in person, John Greenwood.
Thank you.
My name is John Greenwood. I grew up here in Camarillo. I volunteered to be a member of the PAC for the 150 noise study. And I've been coexisting with the airport for basically half a century. It hasn't been a problem until recently with with the previous administration and now some of the noise that we're getting. I would like to I'm here basically to recommend that Scott Baer be reappointed as the public member of the Camarillo Airport Authority Board. Scott has served as you know, as chairman of this board. He's earned the respect of everyone here, and he has upheld the views of the public. That should be the public member's job, not who's on the airport, not what's happening with the planes. He's the public member, and he has made held his effort to the highest standards, representing the public to the County of Ventura and to the Airport Authority and the Department of Airports. He's obviously earned the respect of this entire board. He's earned the respect of the aviation community, and he has earned the respect of the people of Camarillo. Now, I know I speak to quite a few people and have over the years and represent a large group of people that are concerned about the airport. Lauren represents another large group of people that are concerned about the airport. We all feel this way. Scott is obviously the best person for this job, and he should be reappointed. Thank you.
Thank you for commenting. Let's check one more time. Is there any other for this comment?
We do have a public comment on Zoom that we are preparing.
Thank you.
Yeah, John George is queued up and ready to go. If I can get him to appear. Spotlight. Here we go. Hey, John.
Hello, everyone. Good evening to the members of the Airport Authority. I'm John George. I'm a Oxnard hangar owner and also the president of CAHOTA, which is, I'm sure you know, the Camarillo and Oxnard Hangar Owners and Tenants Association. I'd just like to voice my own personal endorsement for Scott Baer. I'm sure not going to tell the members of the Airport Authority anything they don't know about Scott's accomplishments or his character or his energy. But, I would like to just add, Scott balances his aviation knowledge as a Camarillo resident who also sees issues from that side, which gives him great credibility and the ability to look at issues fairly. And, really, isn't that what we're looking for in local government? As an authority member, he is someone we can rely on, someone we can trust to make considered decisions. He's demonstrated that over the last 2 years. I've worked a lot with him personally, and I know him to be a great guy and very committed to the airports. And I think that's really what local government should be all about. He is what local government should be about. And so I heartily endorse him for the position on the Airport Authority. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else?
Yep.
Okay. So that concludes the presentations. We have 6 people. And at this time, we can deliberate. And if there's any motions or discussion.
Chair Long, I know Councilmember Perello said it earlier, but really appreciate the interest from Camarillo to be a public member of this authority and seeing what the last couple of years have been like. Your willingness to step into this position, and it really is very telling of the makeup of our community and the commitment to serve in this capacity. So I just want to say thank you all for your interest. You are all really impressive, and this is certainly very, very challenging to move forward. So I just want to open up the discussion with that.
Thank you very much. And completely true. I mean, no matter who is picked today, all of you have the opportunity for public comments and to provide feedback throughout the year. And really do appreciate your engagement here today. Not very often do we have a lot of people that are attending. And it's always, you always hear the complaint, but to hear positive things about our airport is just wonderful. So thank you, all of you today. Go ahead.
Want to add to that, I really want to thank all of the applicants. Serving on this authority is not the easiest thing to do because there are a lot of things to balance. And so it really speaks volumes to the people that are willing to throw their hat in the ring. So thank all of you. Thanks to all of you.
So with that, are there any nominations for the public member?
Chair, I will nominate Mr. Scott Bear as the public member for the Camarillo Airport Authority.
Okay.
I'll second that.
There's a second. Are there any other nominations on the floor? Yes, please.
Thank you. So I'm the rookie here. We have a tradition on Camarillo City Council when we agree with our colleague to simply say ditto. So I will say ditto to what Councilmember Santangelo said. Can we clone all of you? I mean, that's the bottom line. We have very highly qualified candidates, and again, I really appreciate all of you stepping forward. And with that, Madam Chair, I'm really good at it.
Okay, so if there's no other nominations on the floor, the nomination is for Scott Bear. If we could do a roll call, please.
For Camarillo Airport Authority, public member. For Scott Bear, we have a vote a vote from Supervisor Kelly Long,
Yes.
Supervisor Vianney Lopez,
Yes.
Mayor Tony Tremblay, and Councilmember Susan Santangelo.
Yes.
Thank you. For Scott Bear has been appointed for Camarillo Airport Authority for 4-0.
Thank you very much. And now we will have a nomination for the alternate public member. I would like to make the nomination for William Thomas. And we've worked together for many years and well experienced on the report.
I'll second.
Okay, that's the first and a second for William Thomas. Is there any other nominations on the floor? If that said, could we get a roll call?
For Camarillo Airport Authority, William Thomas as the alternate public member. Chair Supervisor Kelly Long,
Yes.
Supervisor Vianney Lopez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Mayor Tony Tremblay.
Yep.
Councilmember Susan Santangelo,
Yes.
and public member Scott Bear.
I didn't think you
Nope.
did, but
Sorry, redacted.
no, not yet.
Sorry.
We're gonna hold you back.
So for alternate public member, William Thomas is appointed for Camarillo Airport Authority 4-0.
Thank you very much. And congratulations, Scott Bear and William Thomas, for your appointment. And I really do appreciate your ongoing work for this airport. I really do. So thank you.
It's an honor. Thank you for all who voted. I'm a little bit embarrassed and greatly honored to be reappointed. So thank you.
Thank you. So next we will move it to Oxnard.
Thank you, Chair Long. And I will, as we transition to the Oxnard Airport Authority selection of the public and alternate members, I do want to mention that as supervisors, we also do have an aviation advisory committee where as supervisors, we do look for applicants to apply for those positions. So I just want to put the word out there because there are times that we do have vacancies and we're looking for representatives. So I just want to mention that if anyone is also interested in that opportunity to be involved in this capacity. So with that, we will begin the presentations from the applicants for the Oxnard Airport Authority.
Thank you, Chair. I do want to clarify that we do have a duplicate applicant if they wish to go up again and speak, will have the option available to them. Michael Alfred is interested in the public member position and the alternate just the public member position for Oxnard Airport Authority.
Mr. Alfred, would you like to add anything?
To add.
Okay.
I'm a pilot, engineer. I don't have any governance, but like I said, I work for General Motors, so everything's done by committee. I was throwing my hat in the ring, trying to help out. And when I applied, there was nobody even, it was last year. Nobody was even in it. Alternate would be fine. I don't, whatever, or if you've got other people, take them, and now maybe I'll look into the other one. So that's it. Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any follow-up questions for Mr. Alfred? Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Thank you.
Thank you. Our second applicant is Barbara Filkins, and she is interested in the public member position and the alternate public member position for Oxnard Airport Authority.
I think that thank you for the opportunity to present. I have to say thank you. And I think most of you have heard me talk. I'm not necessarily going to go through a lot of my background, except to say that I was a graduate of Harvey Mudd. I've got a master's in cybersecurity, and I'm working on a PhD in aeronautical engineering, specifically looking at whether the man should be kept in the cockpit. Kind of one of those things that we have to look forward to. But I wanted to talk a little bit about why I said, okay, I'll do this. First is commitment. There's a future out there for a lot of the county. And I have a commitment that kind of is burned into me to offer those opportunities for those that are coming behind me. The second is the sense of community. Community is local, international, national. It's whatever we make of it. In this case, the airport has to be, the Oxnard Airport needs to be part of the community around it as well as within it. And so that's one of the balancing acts. The third point is opportunity. To Mr. Perello's comment about preconceived notions of closing the airport, I think that would be a mistake because it provides opportunities. And the thing is, for both community and commitment, you need to take action. So a year and a half ago, I think I sat in Mr. Frida's office and said, maybe we should do an event at Oxnard. And he kind of looked at me and he said, can we pull it off? And I said, yeah, I think we can. We basically brought the whole aviation community in this county together. We had CAF, we had CAP, we had the Explorer Group, we had the EAA, both chapters, and I'm leaving, and this commemorative Air Force, 99s. And we actually had a really impressive event despite the weather. And since then, I have become involved more and more with the airport. I'm on EAA 723 chapter as their treasurer. I'm on the board of directors for the air show 1469, and I support the 99s. I've also started to become more into the education side. I teach both independently as a flight instructor and for California Aeronautical University, which is very student-centric, by the way, in safety, security, and some of the other things, both at the undergraduate and the graduate level.
Ms. Filkins, I just see the clock has gone a little over. Thank you for your time. We'll open up for questions from board members.
Well, that's the same question. Thank you very much for replying.
Okay.
Do you have any preconceived ideas of closing either airport?
Not closing. I wouldn't say I'm preconceived. And also, as Mr. Bear said, we have grant assurances.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. And you did mention that you sit on the board of directors for the air show, so that certainly has experience similar to this that we'd have as authority members. Is there any elaboration you'd like to make on that, or additional experience you'd share in any type of governance or decision making through that?
I run a water company, a mutual in Fillmore. I have for 20 years. I have been involved with board positions at the state and national level. Health Information Exchange, I was on the board for a while as representative of one of the HIEs. I have done policy development. I did the first HIPAA policy of military health system way back when, and been involved in policy within the state, and I've done procurements. So,
Thank you very much.
okay.
Mr. Bear?
I have a question. Ms. Filkins, I wonder if you could just take a minute or so and talk about your views of how to engage the community, especially young people, and get them interested in aviation.
That's a good question. One that's in the process of being worked on. First of all, aviation by itself is a very exciting field, especially for young people. And I just had a lunch meeting today with Allison Barker. I don't know if any of you know her, and another member of EAA 723, who also is a facilities person at one of the schools. And we had a whole conversation about how we can make the STEM pavilion at the air show better, as well as the career day. So I think a lot of it is just involvement, reaching out to the middle and high school, young eagles, those type of events. And then also encouraging young people to be mentors for the ones that are even younger than they are. So.
Right. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Filkins.
Sorry about that, Chair. Our next candidate is Doug Tauber, excuse me, and he is interested in the public member position for Oxnard Airport Authority.
How you doing? My name's Doug Tauber, for those of you who don't know me. I currently hold an airline transport certificate, and I have several type ratings, wide body 767, 757, and Airbus 320 ratings, and 24,000 flight hours of accident-free flight experience over the last 40 years. In that time, I've worked as a flight instructor, charter pilot, and a commuter pilot. I used to fly into Oxnard in Jetstream 32 turbo 19 passenger turboprops during the 90s when they had scheduled service there. And now I work as a Airbus 320 captain for American Airlines. I'm currently been there. This is going to be my 30th year, and I've got about 2 more years before I hit retirement. I've also worked as a technical commentator, and I made a TV appearance on the TV series called Mayday Air Crash Investigations, which you find on the Smithsonian Channel. I was brought on by the producer because he said I had a good ability to explain technical terms down to layman terms, people to understand, because aviation is very highly technical and it's full of a lot of TLAs. And for those of you who don't know what TLAs are, it's a 3-letter acronym for 3-letter acronym. I also worked as served as the LAX chairman and captain's representative for the Airline Pilots Association, which is one of the largest pilots union in the world. I know you like to see pilots serve as public members, and I would think that you find my qualifications adequate. But just because you know how to fly an airplane doesn't necessarily mean you know how to represent the public. So let me tell you what I bring to the table. First of all, not only do I live in the same district and neighborhood of Oxnard Airport, but I'm also the current chair for the Via Marina Neighborhood Council, and I'm in constant touch with other neighborhood councils surrounding the airport. Secondly, I also serve on the Oxnard Part 150 Noise Planning Advisory Committee as an appointee. And thirdly, I have absolutely no conflicts of interest.
Mr. Tauber, thank you. We will follow up with some questions.
Okay.
But thank you for your introduction. Mr. Perrello, did you want to?
Thank you very much. And do you have any preconceived ideas of closing Camarillo or Oxnard?
No, and I've pretty much made that clear with my constituency. As Mr. Barrett stated, we spent a lot of money on this airport, and we're pretty much committed to keeping it open for at least the next 20 years.
Thank you.
Let's see. Go ahead, Mr. Perrello.
Thank you. And I have been taking notes on everyone. You did mention some, pretty extensive experience as far as being a chairman on the Pilots Association, chair of the Neighborhood Council for Via Marina. Would you like to elaborate any more on committee or chair work or working on governing boards to make a decision?
I have done other stuff for the union, but it's pretty much involved in the running politicking for other councils. Other than that, pretty much running an entertainment, but that's about it.
Thank you.
Great. No other questions? I don't see any raised hands. Thank you, Mr. Tauber.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our last applicant for the evening is Keith Moore. He previously applied for the Camarillo Airport Authority, but is now applying for the Oxnard Airport Authority for the public member or alternate member position.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for the opportunity to participate. I live in Oxnard at Channel Islands Beach, and I'm very familiar with Oxnard Airport. I'd like to see it be developed and more increases utilization. It's underutilized. It's a very valuable asset. You put a lot of investment into it. I understand there's initiatives to put a restaurant and a museum there. I don't know how far that's going, but as an individual, they're very sincere about doing that. I'd like to see us also help work to come up with some commercial activity out of Oxnard, at least on a daily rate basis, to make that facility its assets. I'm very familiar with the noise issues at Oxnard. I was one that initiated the idea of going left or right traffic to lower the roads. It took a while for that to be adopted. It's now in play. It's eliminated most of the noise complaints in Oxnard. So I'm familiar with those issues as well. But I'm active in both airports. So thank you again for the opportunity to visit.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Are there any follow-up questions from members?
Regarding Mr. Bear's questions with regard to youth, I was a scout master for 15 years, been working with youth programs. My focus today as retired is to help develop youth. I find aviation to be an extremely powerful tool to bring them from the 10, 11, 12-year-olds into some idea of understanding how things work. And so we work with the flight simulators, teach them how the engines work. We understand the physics of the flight. And this gets there on a foundation for their school and a basis that really makes them grow at that age. So from 10 to 18 years old, I'm very successful in helping young people fly. I've taken individuals with 10 hours of simulator time. They've never been in an aircraft before. They're 14 or 15 years old. They can then go over to Santa Paula and almost start their flight training with a lot of background.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you.
And I don't see any raised hands. So again, thank you to all the applicants for bringing your name forward, going through this process, especially coming to publicly to present yourself. And this is just a part of this process. So I will bring it back to the authority, the Oxnard Airport Authority, for discussion or action.
Just one question. Can we have a repeat from the staff? How many are in running for the chair, for the public member, and how many are in running for the alternate member?
We have 4 interested in the public member, we all 4. And in the alternate, we have Barbara Filkins and Keith Moore for alternate.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a nomination for Barbara Filkins.
Chair Long, we're just going to
Oh, there's
we
public
don't have any
comment.
comment.
Apologize.
That's okay. No.
Apologies, that was my fault.
A hand just popped up. So
Oh,
let me see. Let me
thank you.
investigate. And I'll be promoting John George. And there he popped over. Okay. All right, John, we got you. 3 minutes.
Hello again, authority members. I usually don't speak twice in one night at these authority meetings, but I felt it was important to speak on behalf of Barbara Filkins. I can't think of a more communally involved candidate than Barbara. She not only talks the talk, she does all the work that she has laid out in front of you. She does it. I see it on a daily basis because I'm her hangar neighbor. So I see her very regularly at the airport. I think her resume speaks for itself. But more than that, I'm always impressed by Barbara's industry, the breadth of the people she interacts with, and her commitment to helping people. And that is one of the strongest reasons I can think of for considering Barbara for this position. I've seen her with local kids curious about aviation, new women pilots looking to expand their world, adults of all kinds looking for guidance. And, you know, when you're an instructor pilot, obviously you're teaching people how to fly, but it goes way beyond that. They are being instructed by Barbara in how to approach problems, how to deal with unforeseen difficulties. And outside of aviation, it's very transferable, and Barbara does all of that. To me, she's very impressive. No one is more familiar with Oxnard Airport just because of the amount of time she spends at the airport in the pattern and flying around the local area. She's taken part in the 150 survey, as she said, using her local flying knowledge to get it right. I mean, she volunteered to do that because she knew the exact things that needed to happen for that 150 survey and flew her personal airplane around the local area to do that. Only for the reason that she wanted to make sure that it was done correctly. And the 150 survey, as you know, was very successful. She is constantly showing her leadership around the airport, and I know that you would welcome that on the airport authority as well. She has no agendas, no grudges, no hidden alliances. Her open-mindedness, focus on the facts, makes her candidacy stand out for the opportunity to strengthen the Oxnard Airport Authority. And once again, I think she would be an excellent candidate to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public speakers?
Nobody's online.
All right. Thank you. And
With the motion.
hold on for just a second, Mr. Perillo. Councilmember Tehran, you had a question?
Yes, just a technical question for staff. It sounded like our chair, Supervisor Long, has made a nomination. I think we'll go to that in a second. But when we read out who had applied for public member, which is all 4 applicants, and then 2 of the 4 who had applied for alternate, I just want to clarify. I understand the application period has come and gone. And for those who had indicated that they were only interested in public member, just so we know for the record, is it too late for them to express they would also be open to alternate member if they didn't originally indicate that on their application?
I would say that would be the prerogative of the 4 voting members to offer the alternate role to somebody who didn't get selected.
Okay, I guess I want to make sure that that would be allowable and there wouldn't be any issue with that if someone didn't indicate that in their original application. It sounds like it'd be at our discretion.
I believe they've just indicated their preference. Okay. So they could change their preference if invited.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Perillo, and then go ahead.
Okay, I appreciate Councilmember Tehran's comments, and I appreciate it, but you know, the rules of the road. I just went through an election last week and I lost. And it's life. You learn to learn and die, and you apply and you either succeed or you don't succeed. And I'm very fortunate to have been in the game, but you need to apply. And on this, I would think it would be very similar to, we're going to get in a horse race and you're allowed to carry 10 pounds or required to carry 10 pounds. But now I want to get in the horse race and I don't want to carry any weight. I don't think it's fair to open it up after everyone has gone through the process, even with the hiccups and mistakes that were made with this agenda in getting all of the applicants on the agenda, to change the rules after they've been closed. My opinion. and the chairs of this body, both supervisors. I hope you use this as an example. There needs to be a county council here to answer these questions. We put the director of the airport and his assistant between a rock and a hard place, asking them to address this. Those are my views. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Perello. Director Bear?
If we're going to allow people to allow the authority to have the discretion to decide that someone who only applied for public member could also apply for the alternate role, then I think we need to potentially creates an issue where we need to revisit Camarillo's vote, because that wasn't an option at the time. It may not change the outcome, but that option wasn't on the table. So I think we need to think very carefully about what Mr. Perello just said about changing the rules as we're going along.
Thank you, Mr. Bear. So
Can I make a motion for the chair?
I think we had a motion. Would you like to follow up that?
Did you make a motion?
Yes, I did make a motion for Barbara Filkins for the public member.
I'll second that.
All right, can we have a roll call vote for the motion on the table, please?
For Barbara Filkins as public member for Oxnard Airport Authority, Supervisor Kelly Long,
Yes.
Chair Supervisor Vianney Lopez,
Yes.
Councilmember Burt Perello,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Councilmember Gabe Teron.
Yes.
And thank you. That motion passes unanimously 4-0 as Barbara Filkins for public member for the Oxnard Airport Authority.
Congratulations and welcome, Ms. Filkins. All right, and now,
And just may I ask a follow-up question? Just to reiterate for anybody watching on television or for the going to watch the tape, how many people are in the running for the alternate member?
2.
2?
Can you name which people those are?
Mike Alfred and Keith Moore, both present.
Michael, yes, okay. All right, any further questions, discussion, or a motion?
May I ask a technical? I'll be a pain in the ass here tonight. I beg your pardon and I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Moore, did you apply after the Camarillo vote for the Oxnard seat? At the same time. Thank you, and thank you very much for clearing that up. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's my.
Thank you, Councilmember Perello. Any other questions, comments?
I'll make a nomination for Mike Alfred for the alternate.
Can it?
All right, so we have a motion and a second for the alternate member. Can we take a roll call vote, please?
For Michael Alfred as alternate member for the Oxnard Airport Authority, Supervisor Kelly Long,
Yes.
Chair Supervisor Vianney Lopez,
Yes.
and Councilmember Burt Perello,
Yes.
Vice Chair Councilmember Gabe Teron.
Yes. And thank you for the promotion.
The motion passes unanimously 4-0 for Michael Alfred as alternate member for the Oxnard Airport Authority.
Thank you and congratulations and welcome, Mr. Alfred. And again, thank you to all the applicants and participating in this process. And I will repeat what I opened up this portion of the Oxnard Airport Authority as a supervisor is that we do have the Aviation Advisory Committee as well. And those seats, we do look for 2 members. So if anyone is interested in further participation, that is also an opportunity. So just want to mention that and feel free to reach out to me as your 5th District County Supervisor and Supervisor Long in the 3rd District. So with that, I will pass it back to Chair Long.
Thank you very much. Welcome to all of our new members. Really appreciate it. Next up we have is our Camarillo and Oxnard Authority. We have a receive and file a monthly staff update for communications and engagement
Congratulations.
manager.
Good luck.
I believe she is online. There we go. There's Jeanette.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me here this evening. I'm Jeanette Haregi, Communications and Engagement Manager and Public Information Officer for the Ventura County Department of Airports. As you know, the Department of Airports is highlighting unsung heroes from the local aviation community through periodic short feature stories designed to not only put a spotlight on those who tirelessly serve the community, but to also help educate the community about a portion of the airports that is often overlooked. Many may realize that Camarillo and Oxnard airports serve as vital connections to the national airspace system and are home to many businesses and individual aircraft owners, all of whom contribute to the economic vitality of Ventura County. What many may not realize is that some of these individuals and businesses also play a critical role as philanthropic contributors through a variety of nonprofit organizations that work to benefit the environment, animals, local youth, emergency response, and more. Tonight, I eagerly share our fourth story in the series, focusing on pilots and pause.
Can I just pause real quick?
Yes.
I didn't realize that we were having a shift in our seats with Dr. Fussell leaving. And I just want to make sure that we give him the respect. So my apologies. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. Somehow I thought I was going to hold on to him for a little bit longer and he's running out the room. So thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you, Dr. Fussell. And welcome, Barb.
Okay, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Tina George approached her husband, John, an Oxnard-based pilot, in 2022 with the idea of getting involved with Pilots and Pause, a national nonprofit organization launched in 2008 in response to the increase in animals being euthanized in shelters across the country. The idea for Pilots and Pause stemmed from a simple need. Debbie Boys wanted to adopt a dog in Florida. The only problem was that Debbie lived in South Carolina. She reached out to pilot John Warenberg, who provided a round-trip transportation for Debbie to and from Florida. At the time, most shelter animals were transported only by ground. But Debbie and John decided to change that and partnered as co-founders of Pilots and Pause with the goal of connecting volunteer pilots from all 50 states to the rescue and transportation of animals from shelters to their homes, to the homes of their adopted families. Similar to Debbie and John, Tina and her husband, John, partners Tina's passion for animal welfare with John's skills as a pilot. When they find a mission in an area they are either visiting or are able to travel to, they board their Piper Comanche with their golden retriever Hattie and head out to save the life of a dog that would otherwise be facing death.
Hey, Jeanette,
Yes?
may I interrupt? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I've heard from the director and we're going to retrieve Dr. Fussell. He's still a member of this board and the term for the public member starts in March. So that's per the bylaws. And
You know, I'm really glad you said something because
Yeah.
that's why I was wondering. I'm like, wait a minute, why are we leave? Why is he leaving so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, I love the eagerness.
Yeah.
I mean, did you see there was like fire on his shoes?
We're just,
He was
yeah.
out here.
So
Dr. Fussell.
we're hustling to get him back.
I could understand the confusion. I know that Scott Bear was just reelected and therefore he came back. And so probably there was some confusion. So thank you, Dr. Fussell. You can't leave yet.
Yeah,
And we hope that you show up for the February meeting.
that's a bit of a Mark Twain moment there. So.
And we'll say all the kind words all over again.
All right. Apologies to Jeanette. We love her stories. They're so important. So back up as far as you want, Jeanette. And
I'll leave it to the discretion of the authority. Would you like me to continue or start over, or I'm up for whatever you all want?
Continue.
Okay. One particular mission caught up with Tina and John while they were away in Palm Springs. 7-month-old Queensland Healers had been abandoned in the desert. They had been picked up and taken to a shelter and were going to be euthanized immediately due to a lack of space. Tina and John were able to assist and picked up one of the healers and flew to a rescue site in Paso Robles, all while Hattie sat next to and comforted her new flight companion. The healer had been abused, John said. It reacted immediately to touch and petting. It just wanted to be loved. Rescues are not exclusive to dogs. Pilots and Paws also rescues cats, and in addition to shelter rescues, the organization has partnered with the United States Coast Guard to rescue dolphins, bear cubs, snakes, and turtles. Locally, Pilots and Paws is credited with the rescuing and transporting a variety of animals during the Thomas Fire in 2017. And the esteemed National Disaster Search Dog Foundation based in Santa Paula, those dogs are all rescues, many of which have been transported to the training center by volunteer pilots for Pilots and Paws. There is also an educational component to the organization that teaches youth and adults alike about the importance of being a responsible pet owner, including sharing the daunting statistic that nearly 1 million shelter animals are euthanized each year. So far, Pilots and Paws has proudly been able to rescue more than 200,000 animals since its founding. It's a very heartwarming experience, Tina said, and you know you are doing something good. And I'd like to thank Tina and John for sharing their story. And on the screen, you will see photos shared by Tina and John of some of the animals that they've rescued and just showcasing their missions and their commitment to Pilots and Paws. So thank you again.
Thank you. Is there any other updates? Any questions? Yes, please.
Thank you, Chair. And I just want to thank you for the story. I love these types of things. The only criticism I have is that we don't have the dogs here in person, that they're only on the screen. So, but thank you so much. It was great to hear and learn about these types of programs we have.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Jeanette, thanks for that report. I think it highlights that there are people at both airports who are doing wonderful community service. And the more that you can bring those stories to the public, I think it's going to be helpful for everybody to understand that the airports aren't just playgrounds for people who have airplanes, that there are people there who are dedicated to community service like John and Tina, like Barb Filkins. And the more we can get those stories out, I think the better it's going to be. So thank you for that report.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this is a receive and file. I don't believe a motion is needed.
No, no motion is needed, and we do not have any public comment.
Thank you very much. So we will move on to the receive and file a staff update regarding the private hangar lease conversation to long-term lease. I believe we have Aaron Powers online.
No, that would be me.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Hi, good evening, Authority Commissioners and new members to the panel. My name is Madeline Hurley. I'm the lease manager for the Department of Airports, and I'm here to provide an update to the September update on the status of the conversion of the transformation of 225 private hangar leases from month to month to term agreements. This was a process that was started about 8 years ago. And we're proud to say that as of today, we are closing in on having very few left to transfer to a long-term lease. We currently have 10 leases that we are working on with the hangar owners to submit their final documents. Some of those are related to permit issues and not lease issues, and some are related to insurance certificates that are missing. So we're down to the brass tacks on those. We did have to file 5 notices to vacate for 5 of the hangar owners. And I'm happy to say that as a result, 3 of those folks are now in the pipeline to complete their leases. We anticipate that we'll have very few legal issues to deal with going forward. And after this 14-month process since we initiated the hangar inspections, it's been a joy actually to see all these beautiful airplanes and to meet the hangar owners. So I've had a good time doing this process, and we're closing in on the end.
Madeline, can I ask you a total of how many leases we will have transferred?
225 total.
Thank you. That's huge. And it's such a great accomplishment. I really appreciate that you brought this to us today for receive and file and get an update. Do we have any questions from our commissioners? Yes.
Ms. Hurley, am I correct in understanding we're down to 2 people or 2 hangar owners who potentially are going to be evicted?
Right, and hopefully those can also be avoided, but that's where we're standing. Mhm.
As a hangar owner, and as you know, I was deeply involved in the hangar issue for many years. I'm totally impressed with how you and your colleagues have gone from ground zero to, maybe 2 outliers. You're to be commended, and congratulations on your hard work and your successes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the report. Is there a deadline for these 2 individuals?
It was, so 30 days from December 27th, so that's January 26th.
So has the deadline been increased to allow the 3 individuals from the 5 that now are in the pipeline?
So at the deadline is really exists for the opportunity for the department to then file an unlawful detainer action. You can choose to not take any action, but the notice was provided.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And as I started in 2017 on this board, this has been a very tenacious and item. So to actually say that there's only a few is really a huge accomplishment. And I want to thank all of our hangar owners, Cahota, just everybody on this matter. It's huge. And
Yeah, it was a good partnership with them.
yes, and Keith Friedis, I want to say thank you very much. I know you're online for your devotion to make sure that we work with the hangar owners and really get a great solution. I want to say thank you also to our commissioners here as well for the hard work and making sure that we do what's right for our hangar owners and for the county. So I appreciate it. Any further questions, comments? Yes.
Yes, Chair Long, I want to also agree from the initial exciting meeting at the Camarillo City Council that was packed, and I recall there were deputy sheriffs around you, and I was grateful the crowd did not know who I was that was on the board. We've come a long, long way because that was one heck of a meeting with a lot of accusations and a lot of things got said. And it was unfortunate, the situation that some people put the supervisor in that night, but things happened and we've come a long way. But we should not forget where we've been and what can happen. But thank you.
Yeah, yeah, and yes. It's a great outcome, and it really shows the public process of listening to our community and working together for a common good. And that's how this airport was created for Camarillo and Oxnard, and that's how it should be continued, I think. So thank you very much. Madeline, thank you very much.
Chair Long, we do want to confirm that we do have a public comment
Yes,
for
please.
this item.
Public comment.
Jake Castaldi.
Hi there. Jake Castaldi. I'm a longtime pilot, 25-year pilot in and out of the at both airports, Oxnard and Camarillo. And also I managed several airplanes and several hangars on the field for many years. So and kudos to the airport again for all of the good doings for managing the hangar lease things. The subject I want to talk about was improvement to these private hangars. A lot of these private hangars are most of them are portable type hangars, and they've been around for quite some time and need some work. And there's a little bit of a disconnect between the building and safety department of the county really wanting to call these permanent structures, permanent buildings, and that's causing a difficulty for a lot of people to improve those hangars. And the goal is to have nice buildings, nice hangars, both aesthetic and structurally sound on the airport to everyone's benefit. And unfortunately, with the building and safety, there's a very difficult area in there. What we found is that Los Angeles County and San Diego County have already solved this problem because they have exempted these portable type hangars in their code, and this could be for later discussion. But I'm kind of, since you're all here in the room, it'd be a help to figure out a solution on how this could work, because not only have all of the counties, but all the municipalities that own the airports in LA and San Diego County have adopted the same policy, so that it makes it an affordable solution for both private home hangar owners, but also to the airport to improve these hangars or replace them if needed. So, and if there's extra space on the field, it's an extra revenue opportunity to bring in portable hangars and park them just as they were originally done without any kind of long-term foundational type structural permits. So that's an issue that I could bring up for later, but that's the main comment I want to do is try to get the help to really improve the airport all the way around and improve that hangar situations that need fixing. So.
Thank you for your comments. There's one question for you.
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Salvi, welcome. Nice to meet you in person.
Yeah.
We've spoken on the phone about this. You've said a lot, and I just want to focus in on a couple of things you said. That in LA County and San Diego County, they've specifically exempted port-to-port tin hangars, basically, from the requirements of going through the building and safety permitting process.
Correct.
And do you believe that a similar ordinance in Ventura County would be beneficial?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Yeah.
What would it take to put this on a future agenda?
We can ask our airport director to follow up on this matter.
Yeah, absolutely. The chair can call for agenda items as well as.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Okay.
And I'd like to think this is a benefit not just to the private hangar owners themselves, but also the airport owns similar hangars that could also benefit them as a means to, handle the situation.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
And there was another
And
comment.
Jay Casaldi does have one more comment for the same agenda item.
Just regard,
Oh, the same one?
that's fine.
Oh,
Just regarding the Oxnard Airport questions that came up about closures, that kind of thing. As a pilot that flies significantly in both airports, I will just say that there's a lot of traffic, substantial traffic at Camarillo Airport and shared traffic at Oxnard Airport. But I think there's a big importance to having Oxnard Airport be available, not only for all of the, GA and businesses that operate out of Oxnard Airport, but and the future potential of Oxnard Airport. But I think trying to eliminate one airport and combine everything into just one airport, Camarillo, for example, would be overwhelming to a lot of the surrounding area. And I don't think that would be advisable. So just as a pilot, I wanted to give that perspective that Oxnard Airport is very well appreciated by all of us. And it makes it easier to get in. Whereas I fly out of Camarillo and sometimes I'm number 8 or number 10 in line to take off or to land and get rerouted to land, which creates a more dangerous situation too.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Are there any other public comments on this item?
no other public comment.
Hearing none and no other discussions for our commissioners. Thank you very much. Really appreciate this, Melon. Okay, moving on to item G. This is with Chair Lopez.
Thank you, Chair Long. So next item is a receive and file staff update regarding the PFAS soil and groundwater investigation at Oxnard Airport. And I see Mr. Nafee coming up to the podium.
I am, Chair. Thank you very much for the opportunity to provide this staff update. I've put a detailed packet letter in there for you, and I'll just touch on a couple of the details as we go. We could just flip through some slides, and you can make those big if you like. So PFAS is a chemical that's found in many consumer items. We've got a little wheel there of showing a lot of the different things that PFAS does show up in. And it's become a chemical of concern. EPA has indicated that it is, and if it's in drinking water, then there's concern that the accumulation in the body could over time have health effects. And so one of the things, go ahead. One of the things that PFAS is also in is in firefighting foam, and that was mandated by FAA for certificated airports that handle commercial service. And we maintain that certificate at Oxnard Airport. And so because the FAA has mandated that, because the FAA has indicated that we need to maintain our equipment through annual testing, and because there have been a couple of releases of it over the many decades that the airport's been open, there's the California Water Boards, or the LA Regional Water Quality Review Board, to be specific, has asked for investigation, which we began in 2019. So the fact that it's a common item that's found in a lot of different things, it's not surprising that some was detected. So we're going through that process. There were 5 small areas on Oxnard Airport that we identified as having likely places where the AFFF, that firefighting foam, had been released. And so we've been going through an investigation to discover where that is. So go ahead and flip. Can you make the slides just the whole slide? There you go. Okay, so in January 2019, we got a letter from the water board, said, please investigate where that PFAS is. We went ahead and developed a work plan, implemented that work plan, had an amendment to that. So spent that initial chunk of money, resources to investigate what that was. After reviewing the results of that, the water board came back and they said, well, we'd like to continue to investigate. We didn't find the perimeter of where we couldn't detect this PFAS at all. And so started another round of investigation, which became quite a bit more costly. And that also resulted in, well, we didn't quite get to the perimeter of it. And we're dealing with non-detect of something that they're measuring in parts per trillion, which is remarkable that they have instruments that can even detect down that low. But on we go. And then in September 2022, we initiated a quarterly monitoring. And in December 2022, we came up with a soil management plan so that we could continue with our construction of the taxiways, Alpha through Echo, which resulted in what we see on the panel on the left there, the stockpile, which Councilmember Perello has reminded us and others, Gabe Trent, that is, hey, let's care for that. Let's understand what's there. Let's make sure we're communicating with our residents about what concerns there may be, and tend to that, which we've done our best to do. But part of what these remarks are to say is that what we've been up to is simply taking care of the tasks that the water boards have asked us to do to complete this investigation to the point where you can't detect the PFAS at all. So the stockpiles are there. We have just entered into an agreement, or we will in the next day. I'll sign that, I'm sure, with a company that's going to test the pile just to verify that it either does have some detectable amount of PFAS in it or not. And if not, then we'll decide how to grade that out or do something with that material after having it be declared not a concern. If there is something detectable, then we'll move forward accordingly with guidance as provided. So ongoing, we would be continuing our reporting, quarterly reporting, any testing that's required, and then any mitigation that comes at us, which is yet to be determined. That's the other part of PFAS that's difficult, is that there aren't any regulations to say, hey, let's determine what to do with it. You either leave it in place, or you take it out and truck it someplace, or you incinerate it, or whatever. None of those things have been regulated, so none of those things are decided. And so we're kind of moving forward with just, we receive a letter and we react to it. But the detection that we're dealing with is very, very low. It's below reporting levels. If we were to say, hey, we've got this, should we do anything about it? EPA would say no. So, but because it's the water board and because they're after non-detect, we keep going. So that's flip to the slide. I did want to just mention that we've received 2 fire vehicles. One was donated and the other was provided at very low cost. Those are going to be prepared, cleaned out, and we're going to be able to put a fluorine-free foam in there called F3. And that's a brand new development over the last few months where FAA has come up with a replacement, drop-in replacement that they will certify as being compliant and allow us to keep our certificate. So those two new vehicles that were new to us, vehicles are going to be fluorine free. And that's just, that's terrific. We're also going to be closely monitoring any litigation. So as the costs mount, as settlements are being pursued out there, we'll be joining class actions or MDLs as is appropriate. The attorneys would know more than me about what that looks like. But we're closely monitoring all that, and we'll jump in at the right time to make sure we're able to recover what we can in terms of those costs. So, I'll leave it there. Any questions? Let me know. I'll be happy to field them.
Any questions? Councilmember Turan?
Thank you, and thank you for the update here. And regarding the stockpiling over on the property along Ventura Road, I know it's been stated to residents who've asked, and I know we've mentioned it in previous authority meetings, but just for tonight's item and for the benefit of the public, can we talk a little bit about the stockpiling we have currently there? And just so that if anyone's, I'm going to share this portion of the video with residents who live near the area, just so they can know, is this a typical practice in stockpiling it, covering it with plastic to ensure that the soil, known or unknown, is contained in that spot and isn't a danger to the surrounding residents?
Yeah, it's common. That's the way you care for stockpiles. If you're going to segregate something and you're going to say, well, let's figure out what that is, let's not mix it with what's around, then you get a liner and you cover it. And typically this is something that's just meant to be temporary. It's not meant to be enduring. So we're eager to clear up what is detectable in it and then deal with it quickly. So we want to see resolution. But yeah, it's common practice, and it was specified for us to place it on the liner and to keep it covered.
Thank you very much for that. And along those lines, I know you mentioned it, that the next stage would be to test that soil and see, if there is a detect or non-detect. And do we have just a ballpark timeline on when we anticipate that would happen, and then a decision would be made one way or the other for the existing stockpiling?
Yes, we met about this afternoon, and the contractor is going to be mobilizing within the next number of days and expects to have the results all collected by the end of the month. And then it would go to the lab, and whatever the backlog of the lab is, that would give us a result. We would think 30 to 45 days. We would have a determination about what's detectable in there.
Okay.
And we're expecting the likelihood to be pretty low, just because it was removed from below pavement and in an area that hadn't been identified as being a concern.
Great, thank you very much. And my last question is, either way, detect or non-detect, we would anticipate seeing the piles there removed and sent elsewhere, correct?
Well, that's to be determined exactly what to do with the material. If it's clean, we may just grade it out and just have that as a source material. It's not clear, but once there's a zero concern about what it is, then we would have some options. We'd probably choose something cost effective.
Sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Perrello?
Number one, I would like to thank you and the staff for all the efforts you did to keep the piles clean. To keep the piles covered. When the wind got them and you covered them, and you have staff out there, spent a lot of time and effort, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
A couple of questions. You did mention potentially it could be graded out. If it is clean, I hope that we do a tremendous amount of outreach, because the Wilson neighborhood, the neighborhood that Councilman Turan lives in, those people will not let it go if they don't totally understand that the dirt's clean. If it is going to be graded into that property, they need to know. A big outreach. The second part of my question, or my real question.
Yep.
When we're talking about we've done these testings and we cannot find the ends of where this contaminant may be, have we been simply doing the testing on site? Or are we going into surrounding neighborhoods? The reason I ask is there is a neighborhood called Seaview, and they have ongoing testing continuously from, I believe, EPA because of the ABEX and what they did with the groundwater. Are we testing off-site? Are we going to be going to that neighborhood? Because if we are, and this becomes an issue, I can tell you that's in my district, those people will light up real fast.
What I'm telling is that we're being obedient to the instructions and the feedback and guidance from the Water Quality Review Board. We're dealing with very, very low amounts that are very difficult to detect. And so we don't anticipate these are off-site. But if the evidence leads that way, then we'll of course be working accordingly. But very, very, very low levels. And I would just offer that the very busy airports, like LAX, others that do training where they invite firefighters to come train and they're blasting this stuff all day long every day. Those are the ones that are of big concern, where the PFAS is getting down into the groundwater, where we've just had a couple of minor releases and a little bit of training over the years. We're a little bit surprised that it's detectable at all, but based on the fact that it is, and that they're not letting us let it say, well, it's really low, let's just leave it alone. We're being obedient. So and everything we're doing is out of an abundance of caution, and we're pleased to be able to have the ability to see this through and to resolve all the concerns.
Thank you. In other words, the answer is we're still testing on site.
Yes, we're on site.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. The only reason I bring this up is with what happened with ABEX and what got into the soil. And years ago, it's the Mexican consulate.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago, this became an issue. Every so many months, they have to come back and notify the entire neighborhood about what's going on. And that's when I started getting the questions about the cancer clusters, claimed cancer clusters. And that's why I'm saying these people will, if they find that there is something and we need to, we reach out. I expect and I trust the staff to do the absolute best that they can do, follow the directions. But I just want everybody on the board to understand there's a neighborhood, and I don't doubt that Mr. Turan's neighborhood, past chair, Mr. Albalaskas, he's the one that generated a lot of the questions that I initially asked about the soil, what was going on. These people are well aware of things that have happened, not under your watch, but years ago, and they don't want these things to happen again. And I'm not complaining about your job. I'm not complaining about the work you're doing. I just want to put that on the table. We have some new members come on this board. They need to hear that.
Yeah. No, we're pleased to be in a position of being obedient and compliant with the direction given.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nafi, and I'll add on to the comment that I think having our PIO has been very helpful. Having someone who can communicate with our public, and especially sharing both good and bad, right? It's important to do that. So as I think has been done in direct outreach to some of the other neighborhood councils with concerns over the noise, then if there's an opportunity with the neighborhood council near there to perhaps attend a meeting and provide an update, I think that goes a long way. So maybe we can help coordinate that.
We're delighted. Absolutely.
All right. Any other questions or comments? Okay.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Mr. Napi. All right.
And Chair, just to note, we do not have any public comments.
Thank you for the reminder. All right. Next item on the agenda is item H, and that is the approval and award of a construction administration services contract. And not sure who was giving that presentation.
Good evening. This is Erin Powers and Chairs Lopez and Long, authority members. Staff tonight is seeking your recommendation that the Board of Supervisors approve and award a construction administration services contract to Woolpert Company in the not to exceed amount of $1,017,587 for the Taxiway Foxtrot, renamed recently Taxiway Alpha, pavement reconstruction project at Oxnard Airport, as well as authorization for the Director of Airports or designee to execute this subject contract. In September of 2023, your body and the Board of Supervisors approved a construction contract for the reconstruction of the parallel taxiway. And now we are bringing before you the construction management contract for that project for such administrative services as inspection, materials testing, record drawings, certified payroll review, as well as other services to meet FAA requirements and grant assurances. Due to long lead times for the construction materials and the coordination still required with the FAA to finalize negotiations, staff is requesting that the department be authorized to negotiate and determine the final contract amount up to that maximum to allow for the department to complete contract negotiations and sign a contract in a timely manner, which would allow Woolpert to review the contractor material submittals and expedite the ordering of materials needed to begin construction in May 2024. Currently, we have been coordinating with the contractor to understand the long lead items, and there are a few for electrical and some manhole lids and structures, and those long lead items are driving the date for the construction start. That's currently estimated in May. And once we get the submittals reviewed and approved by that construction management team, we'll be able to get them on order and have a more firm date for construction start that we can share with everyone. And I'm happy to answer any additional questions about this agenda item.
Thank you, Ms. Powers. Are there any questions? Yes, Mr. Bear.
So this $1 million and plus is just for administration fees, correct?
That's correct.
And then how much is the actual construction project? Which on the spot can ballpark it.
That's okay. I actually have a document up. So the construction contract that your authority recommended the board approve, and they did, was for a little over $17 million. All in, the project is estimated to be about $19.5 million.
And the FAA is paying for 90%?
That's correct, with a small contribution from Caltrans as well.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All right. Do we have a motion?
I'll motion this staff recommendation.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
For Oxnard Authority, Supervisor Kelly Long,
Yes.
Chair Supervisor Vianney Lopez,
Yes.
Councilmember Burt Perello,
Yes.
and Vice Chair Gabe Teran.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously 5-0.
Thank you. Next item is item I.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And
I'm so sorry. I didn't get Chair Fussell of Public Member Eugene Fussell's vote. Yes. 5-0. Sorry.
You're still here.
Thank you, Dr. Fussell. Okay, so with that, we will move on to item I, and this is the approval and authorization for an amendment to consulting services. Ms. Powers, back to you.
Yes, thank you very much. So for item I, staff is seeking your authority's recommendation to the Board of Supervisors for approval of an authorization for the Director of Airports or his designee to sign Amendment 1 to the consulting services contract for the Oxnard Airport Construction Administration Services for the connector taxiways pavement reconstruction with Javiation, which is a Woolpert company. Denise, if you're able to show the next slide, just to remind everyone that this was the project area. In October of 2022, the Board of Supervisors authorized the department to enter into a consulting services contract for construction management with Javiation to reconstruct the 5 taxiway connectors along with relocation of an FAA power line. The airport successfully completed the construction project in September of 2023. However, the contractor exceeded the construction contract time, requiring additional construction management services, including engineering and quality assurance testing services in the amount of $145,994. Due to the contractor exceeding contract time, the airport will be receiving, per the contract terms, liquidated damages, which will offset the additional expenses incurred by the construction administration firm. Therefore, staff is requesting that your board or that you recommend the Board of Supervisors move forward with this contract amendment. And I also am happy to answer any questions you may have on this item.
Thank you, Ms. Powers. Do you have any questions or comments from board members? Any public comment?
Nobody's online looking to comment on this one.
Thank you. Do we have a action on this? I will move approval. I'll second. Thank you. A motion and a second. Can we have a roll call vote, please?
For Oxnard Authority, Supervisor Kelly Long,
Yes.
Chair Supervisor Vianney Lopez,
Yes.
Member Perrello,
Yes.
Vice Chair Gabe Teron,
Yes.
and Public Member Dr. Eugene Fussell.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion passes unanimously.
All right. Next item is the director's report. Do we have anything? Mr. Nafee coming to the podium. Thank you.
Chairs, I'm pleased to provide the director's report. We have 5 very nice items to share. Starting with on the weekend of December 8th, the Department of Airports received word that there was going to be a temporary flight restriction for when the president was moving in the LA region. He landed at LAX, moved over to Santa Monica by helicopter. So it put a big no-fly zone essentially over non-commercial activity, which created an opportunity for our FBOs to host some nice large airplanes. And we were able to provide them, you can see the panel on the left there, some extra parking along taxiway Foxtrot to the west of Sun Air. So the FBOs made a little extra jingle. We made a few permit fees off of that. And we had some eye candy there. So yeah, it was a good weekend, and we're pleased that we're able to serve that role. Jeanette did a good job communicating the bump in activity that was going to cause, and so it seems like that was a success, and we're delighted to be able to fulfill that role as a reliever, as we should, to the LA basin for this type of activity. On December 13th.
I have a question.
Oh, please.
The planes that we see pictured there, those would normally operate out of Camarillo?
No, those are visitors. So just real quick, what happens is that if you're a scheduled airline, you can fly into a temporary flight restriction area that's, it's basically a heightened level of security for the presidential movement. And so if you're an airline, you have a bunch of screened passengers on board, so you're less of a threat. If you're a general aviation aircraft, they don't really know who's on board. And so they have you either screen at a gateway airport outside the TFR before coming in, or you land at an airport outside. So we're outside of that TFR. They were welcome to come in, and most of them did. They left their planes there for the weekend.
With that, were any more complaints about large planes coming into the Camarillo area? Voice to the. Okay.
Nothing above normal.
Thank you.
Dr. Fussell.
They ask you to. Yes. Screen.
Oh, those are just the barriers. So we closed that surface. So that those are barricades to keep aircraft from unintentionally taxiing down that direction, since it's charted as normal active movement area. But we had temporarily put a NOTAM out to say that's going to be temporary parking instead. So we reinforced that with a physical obstruction.
Right.
Okay. So I was saying that Director Freitas had an opportunity to address the Camarillo City Council on December 13th, and gave him a good update. The council members and the citizens a good update on our planning studies, airport layout plan update, and the two noise studies, and just kind of a general update. And the council had an opportunity to ask some questions. We asked some questions of ourselves and answered those. So it seemed to be a good engagement, and we were pleased that there was good response from the council and from the citizens who took the time to make their comments. So we were pleased with that, and thank you for the warm welcome. I enjoyed being there. Caltrans came on December 5th and did an inspection of the Oxnard Airport, and they found zero discrepancies. So we are delighted and applaud our staff who very meticulously maintains that facility and keeps us in tip-top condition in terms of our upkeep and meeting our standards and regulations.
A question about Oxnard
Yeah,
before you go on to the next
please.
subject. Excuse me. Where do we stand on the terminal repairs after the fire?
Well, we're finished. There's a little bit of tweaking. We took the carpet out and it's now a hard surface, so there's a lot of echoes in there. We're looking to do some baffling just to make it a little less of a big echo chamber. But yeah, we're recovered. We're getting down to the point where we're getting the final payments. So a little bit of haggling with the adjusters. They don't always want to pay you everything that you think you.
Shocking.
Yeah. So we're fiddling with the last little bit of that, but yeah, it's been successful, and everybody's moved back in and doing what they should, making money.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, sure. I would normally have Jamal come up and talk to you a little bit about our online payment portal. There was an open question that said, can we make our online payment system accept auto payments and accept prepayments? And so, and I'm speaking on behalf of Jamal, who would be a little bit more eloquent about the details. And we can get him if you have questions about it.
Dave, he's on the line.
Is he ready?
Yes.
Can he jump in there? Okay. Jamal, if you can.
Yes, thank you, Dave. Good evening, chairs and members of the board. We have had some tenants, as well as a member of the board, members from the Aviation Advisory Commission, ask if the new online payment application can take prepayments and automatic payments. Unfortunately, due to pretty secure controls in the system required by our senior county financial management, we are unable to for those features. However, we do have some good suggestions for workarounds. In order, as far as auto pays go, you can use your tenants or users can use their bank's automatic payment application.
Jamal, you're breaking up a little bit.
It sounds like the audio is a little bit sketchy.
Okay.
The bottom line is that everything we used to be able to do in terms of paying is still in place. We've added the convenience of online payments, but it doesn't really lend itself to the ability to do prepayments or to do the what was it? The auto payments. So you can make those kinds of arrangements with your bank. But if you wanted to pay 6 months in advance, just pop in. It'll take 5 minutes for us to take your check. We'll square you away. It's just the same it's always been. We just have this new ability for the just basic transactions of paying your monthly stuff to be able to do that at home at your convenience online. So we're delighted to that. Just can't make that work. It's a government thing. They have different kinds of they have different kinds of financial software. You can do it at a private bank. Government's tough. All right. So then the last thing I would say is that Department of Airports is going to be hosting a question and answer meeting focused on the airport layout plan update. That's the topic. We had a meeting in November at the library, and we got some tough feedback on that. So we're going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to do a defined presentation, and we're going to put out a lot of seating, and we're going to have some cookies and coffee, and we're going to stay until everybody's questions are answered. And so emphasis on prepared remarks, emphasis on plenty of seating, and emphasis on we'll just stay until everybody's satisfied with what they
And the time?
Sorry?
What time is it
Yeah,
going to be at?
yeah, it's so, the time. The time is going to be 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock on the 20th, and it's going to be at VCOE, which is 5100 Adolfo Road in Camarillo. A lovely facility there, and modern and accommodating, plenty of parking, and it should be a really good event. We're looking forward to it. Looking forward to having the engagements, and that everybody's at ease with being able to get the answers that they're after. And with that, questions, or I can be finished.
Any questions? Okay, does anyone have any questions on the reports? Hearing none on the reports. Are there any questions on the correspondence? Nothing on the correspondence? All right, let's flip the page to authority comments. Anyone on the authority have any comments to be made? Hearing none, go ahead. Mr. Gutron, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just real quickly, I wanted to just echo what was mentioned earlier about messaging from the Department of Airports through our PIO and our other efforts around especially social media. And I've shared that messaging when it comes out, and it seems that it's always been well received by people. And I don't want to get too geeky about it, but looking at the impressions it makes and the number of likes and comments and interaction, it's just very interesting to see that something as simple as, hey, you may see increased air traffic because of the temporary flight restrictions, and people engage with that. I figured that'd be like just kind of one-way information, but people enjoy this information, I think enjoy the updates. And so I just want to give thanks and credit where it's due to the team on taking care of that. And again, I think it's there's a lot of value in folks feeling informed and knowing what's going on, and then they can share that with others. So, and then I also just, again, want to take the opportunity to thank our public members, and again, welcome to our new members. And then thank you again to Dr. Fussell for his service on this board and to the community. And for sprinting back, yes.
And he has one more meeting, so.
And he has one more meeting, that's right.
Not done yet, Dr. Fussell.
And thank you to all the applicants who took the time to apply for the position and be willing to contribute in that way for their community and for aviation. And lastly, for new member Filkins, thank you. Your comments and your allotted time at the podium was comprehensive in the time that you had, but I almost felt like you did research on me to see what you had to say to really tug at my heartstrings there. My profession, professionally, I've worked with youth my entire career, and everything you said was spot on in not just what needs to be done, but also what research shows is effective for young people and providing them opportunities for engagement and meaningful participation. So thank you for all that you've done leading up to this and everything that we'll likely see you do as a member of this board. So thank you. And thank you for the time for these comments.
Perfect. Go ahead.
Quick comment. I want to thank my colleagues on the Camarillo Authority for their confidence in reappointing me. I will work very hard to continue to earn that trust and confidence, and I'm very grateful. So thank you.
Also, we had a regional defense partnership meeting this morning, and was reported that there will be some testing, as you heard today, perhaps, which was our national security in the air doing testing. That January and February, they will be continuing to do testing, and we'll be sharing information with our airport PIO so they can get that out and along with our cities as well. So appreciate the partnership there to make sure that our Navy base stays here and is healthy. So appreciate it. Thank you. Any others? Check. Yes. Mr. Burrell?
I'm really grateful for having the abilities to serve with Dr. Fussell. I really appreciated that. And I'm glad I got an opportunity to say it one more time. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? It's hard when you're a straight line to see everybody, so I keep leaning over. And so I apologize if I miss you. Anything else? If not, meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending, and see you at the next meeting.